Greetings, fellow Kerbonauts! Welcome to Kerbal Space Program. My name is Rice, I'm a KSP Minimalist, and this is the Minimalist Shuttle Program, Episode 9. So our mission today is to bring not one, but two modules up to the Kerbal National Space Station so that we can prepare it for proper Kerbal habitation. Now, in order to make that happen, we're going to bring up some extra fuel, some extra food, water, air, and some monopropellant to make it a proper supply space station. Also, we're going to expand the habitation module base of the station, put in a few extra rooms, as well as install our new Kerbal Return Vehicle, or KRV. Now, with all of that said, this is probably going to be a pretty busy mission here. And it's fairly apparent that we have a lot to do in order to make the Kerbal National Space Station a proper place for our Kerbals to live in. Okay, so we are approaching 100 meters per second and tilting our shuttle just slightly over, roughly at about 5 degrees here. We want to be able to get some good prograde velocity going here, a little bit early in flight. And the Catlantis shuttle is approaching 4.5 kilometer altitude. Solid rocket fuel boosters are at 50%, so when we hit about the 10 kilometer mark in altitude, we'll go ahead and throw off those solid rocket boosters. Okay, and it looks like our pitch indicator is good, which means that our reaction wheels are holding the shuttle quite steady. Looks like this is a pretty stable flight we've got going on here. Okay, so we are almost ready to discard our SRBs. And we are approaching 9 kilometers, almost to 10 kilometers. Perfect, our altitude is now at 10 kilometers. SRBs, let's get ready to jettison them. And hold the shuttle steady. Here we go. Perfect, okay, now we got to steady our pitch indicator here. As you can see on the bottom left-hand corner, our pitch indicator is kind of everywhere. So we got to angle our ohms thrusters here so that we steady our shuttle accordingly. Okay, good. So our fuel is at 50%, and we are approaching 18 kilometer altitude, so everything is looking pretty good. So we're going to start tilting our shuttle over. Okay, good. Now let's go ahead and be a little bit more... Let's see, let's be a little bit more liberal about our turns. So we're going to bring our shuttle down just slightly. There we go. Okay, so we got ourselves nice and steady. Apple Apps is holding steady at 34 kilometers and rising. Okay, so now we got to angle our shuttle a little bit more horizontal to the horizon. Now, in order for us to be able to do that and keep our shuttle steady, we're going to have to angle our ohms thrusters. And as you can see, I'm pushing up our ohms thrusters a little bit higher, because right now we're still in the atmosphere, and we want to make sure that the extra mass that we have toward the forward of the shuttle doesn't tip us over here. So we're going to counter that by angling the thrust of our ohms thrusters. Okay, perfect. There we are. Okay, so now we are just about angled towards the horizon. We're going to dip ourselves just below the horizon slightly so that we can bring our Apple Apps in a little bit of a flatter trajectory here. Okay, perfect. There we are. All right, so now we just got to hold ourselves steady. As you can see by the pitch indicator on the bottom left, things have pretty much maxed out. So our reaction wheels are about as... were about as far as they could go to keep the shuttle steady, but that doesn't matter anymore since we've got our fuel already used up in the main tank. So we're going to go and jettison those. And now we've got our ohms thrusters on here, and we're going to use our ohms thrusters and our internal fuel load to insert us into orbit. Alright, so now that we have inserted ourselves into orbit, what we're going to do is we're going to head on over to the Space Center, and we're going to begin the arduous process of doing an orbital intercept of the Kerbal National Space Station by speeding up time. So here, I sped up time on the space station and also sped up the video by 5 times so that we can intercept the station. Now, as per usual, as is the case for most of our shuttle missions, we're not using any maneuver nodes, so we're basically just eyeballing this here and doing the good old-fashioned my orbit is lower than your orbit, so that means I'm going to catch up with you, or vice versa, my orbit is higher than your orbit, so you're going to catch up with me type of intercept here. For the most part, these types of intercepts I usually prefer, because it gives me a little bit more manual customization capabilities when intercepting objects in space. Not always the most efficient way to intercept things, though. Okay, here we are. So now we are at 40 meters from our target. Alright, I think it's about this time that we can go ahead and bring us down to normal speed. There we go. So now we are back to normal speed at 27 meters from the station. And as you can see, Jeb and Bill with their smiling faces there. Happy anticipations as to the arduous amount of work that's ahead of them to put this station together. Now, this shuttle got to be pretty big, and it's probably the largest shuttle we'll probably have in this series, but don't hold me to that. And as such, what we need to do is we need to dock with this space station, not from under, but we're going to dock with the space station vertically. Okay, so now that we got our cargo bay doors open, you get to see our two modules that we're going to be adding today. Closest toward the end of the shuttle is our KRV, our Kerbal Return Vehicle, and our Habitation Module. And then closest toward the cockpit, toward the front of the shuttle, is our Supply Module, designed to carry monopropellant fuel, some extra food, supplies, and water, as well as some extra LFO fuel as well. Now, what we plan to do with this station is to make it, use it as a waypoint, so that our moon shuttle can refuel after taking off and use that fuel to propel it over to the moon. Additionally, this is going to be a refit station too. We're going to attach some extra shuttle parts here so that when the shuttle docks, we can add those parts to the shuttle, such as some nuclear engines and whatnot, that will give it more efficient fuel usage capabilities when making its trip over to the moon or to Minmus. Okay, now that we got ourselves moved vertically to the station and our solar panels on the station closed up, we'll go ahead and begin the process of docking in with the station. Now, we are back to speeding things up to 5 times speed here. And part of the reason why we are docking vertically to the station rather than underneath horizontally is because we need to attach the two modules that we brought with us up here will be attached directly towards the habitation part of the station rather than those fuel tanks that with the solar panels that we brought up last time. And so we need the proper clearance to do that. And in order to do that, we need to dock on a different part of the station this time. Alright, so we are now 11 meters to target. Scooting on ahead, we're now underneath 10 meters to target, and we're keeping our speed roughly at about 0.05 meters per second. Normally I like to keep it at around generally 0.3 so that we coast nice and easy toward the station without going in too fast there. Okay. Here we go. So we've slipped into the night side of Kerbin here. As I said before, I do love docking, and I love to take my time. And taking my time has left us at such a point where we have slipped from daytime over to nighttime. But that's okay. Alright, there we go. So now we've attached to the station, and now we begin the process of securing the shuttle to the station by using our struts here. So we're going to head on over to the main habitation part and grab our two struts and attach them just underneath the hatch above the cockpit. Okay, perfect. Now that we are secure, we can go ahead and make our way over to daylight once again. Perfect. There we are. Okay, so let's go ahead and prep to move our two modules over to the station here. So we're going to slip ourselves over to our utility pod. And this time the utility pod is going to be working without its pilot here. Our Our brave Kerbal is just going to observe and supervise while we bring our utility pod over, and then he's going to come on over and secure it over towards the habitation module extension here. Okay, perfect. And let's attach the other pipe endpoint to the habitation module. Okay, and there we go. So now that we've attached that endpoint, we can now have Bill, our resident space engineer, step back for just a little bit there. Okay, there we go. We'll have him hang on while we have our utility pod pull back this next module we're going to be attaching to the station. Now, this module is in fact two different parts. So you have the habitation module itself, and then the very pod all the way down at the end is our Kerbal return vehicle, the KRV, which is a capsule to be used for emergencies when our Kerbals need to evacuate the space station and return back to Kerbin quickly. It contains all the fuel and all the RCS necessary for it to complete its task. So inherently, it's its own self-contained module. Also has its own life support and also monopropellant fuel. Okay, here we go. So we're going to attach this one to the side of the main habitation module of the space station. So we're going to drift in nice and slowly here. Okay, coming in, and it's moving in at, right now it's about 10 meters from the docking port there. Drifting in very slowly. So we got Bill, who's watching and supervising, making sure that we get a nice clean fit to the station here. Okay, and we're moving in at about 0.1 meters per second, so we're moving in a little bit faster than usual. However, we do have a nice efficient drift going into the docking port, so we should be doing pretty good about now. Okay, there we go. Nice and easy. Now, we're going to have Bill here move the light out of the way. Because, unfortunately, it's getting in the way of our utility pod here. So, we're going to have to make some temporary clearance here. What we might have to do here is we're going to have Bill close up all the solar panels, too. So that we alleviate any possibility of accidentally scraping off our multi-million-dollar solar panels. Okay, there we are, and we are just about docked. Perfect. There we are. Okay, so we've attached our very first, the first of the two modules here. So we're going to go ahead and move our pipe endpoints and detach our utility pod. And the utility pod is going to make its way back to the cargo bay so we can attach the supply pod to the station. And then putting back all the pieces that we moved out of the way. We're going to have Bill put the light back onto the station again. Okay, perfect. Now we have Bill hop into the station real quickly there so he can recharge his fuel pack and also his life support there. Okay, and moving into the power and supply module here. Perfect. Okay, let's go and attach the pipe endpoints. Now what we're also going to do here is we need, once we attach this pod over to the supply module, we need to empty out some of the fuel from the supply module because it's a little bit heavy. So what we're going to do is we're going to transfer the fuel that's in this supply module over to the space station to make it a little bit easier to carry. However, we're going to keep the monopropellant inside that module. Okay, there we go. And a nice slow drift downward. And we're going to attach it to the bottom portion of the space station. Now, the bottom portion of this supply module is going to be the new primary docking port for our space station. Now, since we have a elongated space station now, any future shuttle missions we have that require docking to the station at the main pod at the bottom will have a greater chance of wibble wobble as a result of an elongated space station. So we're going to have to attach some struts here to make sure that we secure everything. Okay, there we are. Nice and easy. Perfect. There we go. We've got it nice and attached. All right, so let's go ahead and move our utility pod out of the way. Perfect. Okay, and we're going to come right back into the shuttle to recharge our life support. And then we're going to move the utility pod a little bit. Okay, now it's time to park our utility pod. So let's go ahead and move the utility pod back to its parking position at the top of the station. Here we go. Let's go, little guy. Here we go, and we've got our usual sloppy dock maneuver just jetting into there. No need for specifics or caution there. Perfect. Okay. So now our task is largely done here. Okay, perfect. And then we got Bill, who's going to be detaching all of our struts and stowing our stuff away as we prepare to head back to Kerbal. Okay, so we're going to attach the struts next time to our station to solidify it. Until then, let's go ahead and undock our shuttle. Perfect. There we go. And as we undock our shuttle, we remove our interface here, and I leave you for the next couple moments just to take in the scenery of our undocking from our newly updated space station. Okay, so now we are back again to 5 times speed as we return back to Kerbal in preparation to land back at the Kerbal Space Center. Okay, majestically going over the mountains. We're approaching the Space Center just on the other side, and here we go. Okay, perfect. And then looks like we got a pretty good angle of attack coming towards the runway here. So we're just gotta maneuver ourselves just slightly over to the right here. There we go. Okay, much better. And once again, we accidentally left our gantry in the middle of our runway. I'll have to remember to delete those gantries after we launch when we're doing space shuttle missions here. Okay, so we're back to regular 1 time speed and coming in nice and easy back to the runway. Here we go. Perfect. Okay, and we got Jebediah, who's all sorts of smiles and giggles there. Happy to be back, almost on terra firma. Okay, here we are. We're going to dive down here so we can go ahead and catch the runway and get a little bit more lift on our wings. Here we are. And almost towards the runway. We're going to have to lift up our nose. We're going to flare up here, flaring away. And perfect. There we are. Oh. Got a little bit of positive lift there. Perfect. There we go. All right. And we apply the brakes. Slow ourselves down. And there we are. All right. So this concludes our mission here. I now declare this mission complete. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next time.